Iran-Israel tensions in the last 24 hours. How do you assess the trajectory of this escalation?
Well, if you come to think of it, the Iran and Israel have been at loggerheads and been suffering from this mutually assured destruction syndrome since 1979. There have been a lot of covert and clandestine operations against the other in the effort for Iran to somehow disable from acquiring nuclear weapons. And that has been the US Israeli project for a very, very long time. And therefore, this, what we are watching now, is in fact the final escalation of that ladder. We have seen that there was a Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, was signed by US and five other countries in 2015 to contain Iran's acquisition, or at least to delay, as others perceived it, uh, over time. But President Trump, when he came in the first term in 2018, he just quashed it completely. He walked out of it. And that is why providing Iran a possibility of enriching far more uranium that it required for a normal civilian use. And chances were that it will acquire the nuclear weapon very soon. But one does not know whether it's already acquired the capabilities or the material, enough material. And therefore, Israel has been saying that, according to Israel at the moment, there is a chance that Iran has about weapon grade material of about 9 bombs, and therefore it wanted to completely decimate that. And that's when it has started these preemptive strikes, which he calls it in self-defense. Of course, they are in violation of the Article 51. Um, uh, Another 7 has to see how it goes forward. And then now Iran has also reacted yesterday and has been doing it. Both countries have capabilities, good missile possibilities, fighting forces. And in the first round, it looks that the Israelis have done much better by decapitating a very large cross section of the Iranian leadership, especially the military leadership in the country. Another thing was that the United States, under this time, Trump 2.0, has also been trying to work on some kind of a deal. And they have also been threatening themselves that if the deal is not there, then there will be bombing the place. Now, this is something that combines with the Israeli project. So once again, we are at a very, very difficult and dangerous curve as far as the region and West Asia is concerned. It could go out of hand any time. This has been a big fear for a very long time now, especially after October 7, when both were indirectly fighting against each other through proxies and Israel directly. And then, of course, we have seen that Israel has mastered this art of intelligence and taking out various leaders. It happened in the case of Hezbollah and Hamas. And now we have seen it directly with Iran. So we'll have to see how it eventually plays out. But at the moment, it looks very, very dangerous and which can destabilize the Middle East in an unprecedented way.
Right, sir. So, sir, what are the major threats to India's interests? Talking about economic, strategic, and diaspora related. If the Iran-Israel conflict escalates further.
Well, you know that there are many things that we can call them as 4 E's, which are extremely important from India's point of view. One is, of course, the energy security. We are importing about 70 to 80% of our energy. A large quantity of that comes from the region. Then you have expatriates, Indian diaspora, which is there, quite significant, about 9.5 million people. You know, their safety and security is of utmost importance for us. They are sending roughly about 50 to 60 billion dollars every year in exchange to India. Then you have economic engagement, which means large investments from the region are coming into India and various other projects, connectivity projects like IMEC and others we are seeing now. They are there very much part of it. And last E is the ease of navigation, means the salience of communications, keeping them open against piracy, against Houthi attacks and others. So India has been very much involved in that. And Iran has the capacity to put those choke points and therefore this will all have a very direct impact against India. Of course, it will have an impact on the world. We have already seen that the oil prices have gone up by about 10 to 12%, which is quite significant, and that could go much more. And depending on the way things move out, because Israel is also threatening in the next round, it will attack its refineries, it will attack on its oil installations in Iran. And they both are actually, looks like they are both vulnerable to each other. And therefore, disaster can be much more. And there are many countries in between, which are also, again, oil rich countries. So we can have, this is what I said, the escalation can go beyond an acceptable limit, and that will be disastrous for the world.
Certainly, sir. So another question that concerns is India has expressed concern over the Iran-Israel tension and offered support for de-escalation. Yet it abstained from the UN General Assembly vote on June 12th, demanding a Gaza ceasefire. So how do you justify or critique this abstention in light of India's stated commitment to peace and diplomacy?
Well, it is very clear that India has a principal policy. We believe in dialogue, diplomacy, and de-hyphenation. So when we are talking about as far as Gaza is concerned, if you were to see the statement of our permanent representative, would very clearly spelled out what India stands for, how we are committed to a two-state solution, how we are assisting the Palestinians, how we have supplied humanitarian assistance to Gaza as well. But at the same time, India is against terrorism of any kind, and therefore adequate measure of terrorist, this thing has to be there. I mean, some condemnation of that was the reason that India abstained from that. Likewise, India also abstained at the IAEA resolution, as you know, about Iran, because Iran is also a NPT country, and therefore it has certain obligations. And if the IAEA resolution did call for a violation, that there were a violation of that, I think Article 74 or something, that is something was serious. So India says that Iran has the right for a peaceful use of civilian nuclear energy, but at the same time, it also feels that whatever obligations it has undertaken by being a part of the NPT must also be observed. At the same time, India has been telling both Israel and Iran to desist from further escalation. So that's how it is. It is, of course, existential region from our perspective as well, as I mentioned, for those reasons about Foreign economy, energy security, expats, and ease of navigation. I mean, those are very important points that will have a direct impact on India's well-being. And therefore, we are very much interested that there would be stability, that there is a security that prevails there, and there are no wars that go beyond hand. Of course, this is a region which is highly volatile, especially today when there is no effective global order in play, and therefore everybody seems to have a free-for-all kind of a situation. And in that kind of situation, it is extremely important that some sanity prevails.
Right. So one last question. What specific diplomatic or practical steps can India take to contribute to de-escalating the Iran-Israel conflict, given its cordial ties with both nations and its influence in the global south?
Well, India has strategic partnerships both with Israel and Iran, and we have been talking. Prime Minister Netanyahu called Prime Minister Modi to inform him about his intent and why what he did was. It seems like that they have been able to achieve their objectives in the first round, but then whether these tit for tat kind of a thing continues, we don't know. But then our External Affairs Minister has also spoken to the Iranian Foreign Minister as well as the Israeli Foreign Ministers, urging them. And India has offered to play any constructive role that these two countries would want to, because we have that kind of a confidence. If you know that even the Foreign Minister of Iran was in India during our short war with Pakistan. And that's why I think that India is trusted by all the countries in the region and everybody. And that's the reason they can listen to us. But at the end of the day, if you must not forget that both of them, Iran and Israel, have this mad project for now nearly since 1979. So how would they agree to abide by certain kind of regulation? A lot will depend on the United States, which Iran feels has been complicit in this escalation as well. Although President Trump